Hi everyone, good day. So in this video discussion, we will be talking about production function. So tapos na tayo sa pag-tackle doon sa law of demand, law of supply, market equilibrium, change in quantity supplied, change in quantity demanded. Meron pa tayong isang lesson which is yung law of diminishing marginal utility or total utility. Pero ito, production function, it's one of the last few equations or last few medyo may math na pag-uusapan. So let's begin. So when we talk about production function, it refers to the physical relationship between the inputs of a firm and their output goods and services at a given period of time, assuming all other things remain the same. So napakahaba ng ating naging definition for production function. So sir, paano natin mas madaling maiintindihan kung ano yung ibig sabihin ng production function? So simply put, production function, in order for us to have a specific product or specific output, we have to have different kinds of inputs first, which is madalas ito yung mga labor, ito yung capital, ito yung resources na meron tayo, utilities, and so on and so forth. So yun yung mga inputs na meron tayo. And then those inputs will undergo a specific function or a specific process, and from that process, our inputs will then become an output or will then become a product. So ganun lang po siya kadali intindihin. Production function, ibig sabihin ito yung relationship ng inputs, yung relationship ng inputs natin into a specific function, and how those two will yield a specific number of output or a specific amount of product. So yun yung parang mas madaling way in order for us to understand a production function. And when we talk about production function, we have two different time periods to discuss, and that is short run and long run. However, in order for us to define short run and long run, we have to have first a definition of the two classification of inputs that we have. In this case, the two classifications of inputs that we have, or yung two inputs na meron po tayo, dalawang klase ng inputs na meron tayo, is fixed and variable inputs. From the term itself, fixed input means it will remain the same, it is constant, pare-parehas within the different functions that we will be having. Variable inputs naman, based from the term itself as well, it means that it will change. It is not constant. Pabago-bago. So yun lang po yung dalawang difference niya. Fixed input, pare-parehas. Variable inputs, pabago-bago as we go along a specific period of time. Now, when we will now define short run and long run, short run is the period of time during which at least some factors of production are fixed. So, ibig sabihin, doon sa inputs na meron tayo na nadadaan sa isang specific process, some of those inputs are fixed. And that is short run. When we talk about long run naman, period of time during which all factors are variable or all factors are changing. So ibig sabihin, doon sa inputs na meron tayo or doon sa inputs na meron tayo na mag-undergo into a specific function or a specific process, all of the inputs are variable inputs. Pabago-bago po. So yun yung difference between short run and long run. One example that I can share with you guys in order for you to understand it more clearly is yung very limited yung mga limited products na ino-offer ng mga fast food restaurants or mga fast food chains. For example, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, pero dati nag-release si McDonald's ng Japanese themed products. Nag-offer sila ng ebi tempura sandwich ata yun or burger. They also offered samurai teriyaki ata yun. And they also offered the pink float na meron sila. And those products underwent a short run production function. Why? ano yung fixed doon sa inputs na meron sila doon sa tatlong product na yon. The fixed input that they have there is their resources. The amount of resources that they can collect, or the amount of resources that they have, is fixed. It's fixed into a certain amount. Kaya very limited lang siya kasi hindi nila ma-expand yung growth ng product kasi very limited resources lang ang meron sila. Therefore, short run lang yung period ng product na yon. So yun yung parang isa sa mga examples na pwede kong ibigay sa inyo in order for you guys to have a clear difference between short run and long run. Yung long run naman doon sa McDonald's is yung mga classic nila na ino-offer na products like Burger McDo, Cheeseburger. Why? Kasi compared with the short run or the limited resources that they have for the Japanese themed products, yung mga products na madalas nilang ino-offer, varying or laging paiba-iba yung resources, depende sa location, depende sa store, depende sa market, depende sa ganito, ganyan, etc. etc. So paiba-iba yung resources na meron sila for their longer run products. Pero yung mga short products nila or yung mga short run products nila, very limited lang kasi ang resources na meron sila, kaya hindi nila ito magawang i-long run or hindi nila ito magawang i-expand. So yun yung isa sa mga differences na pwede ko ibigay sa inyo for short run and long run. Next, in order for us to better define production function, we have three terms to discuss, and that is total product, marginal product, and average product. Simply put po, total product means ito yung total number of outputs na pwede nating i-produce in a specific given input in a specific period of time. Marginal product naman is the change of the total product based doon sa binago natin na input, or based doon sa change na magaganap doon sa input na na ilalagay natin. And then the average product naman is the output per unit of the factor inputs, or ito po yung kayang i-produce ng ito yung average na kayang i-produce ng isang specific input. So medyo nakakalito. Yes, I believe, sir, ano ulit yung marginal, ano ulit yung average? We will talk about it as we go along. Lalo na sa next slide natin, which is an example. So here, let's say for example, let's stay true to the elements of fast food chain. Let's say for example, ang product natin here is burgers. So nakalagay dito na in order for if we will have one laborer, and before we proceed pala, for the sake of the discussion, the input that we will be talking about here in this function is labor, not utilities, not resources, not capital. We are talking about labor. Ito yung input. Ito yung input natin na mag-undergo sa isang function in order to have a product, labor. So there we have the input of labor na. Now, if we will have one laborer, that one laborer can produce a total product of 10 burgers per hour. If we will increase our input, or we will change our input into 2 laborers, we will then have 18 burgers per hour. And then, if we will again change the input or change the number of laborers, we have now 3. We will now produce 24 burgers per hour. So, yun yung total product natin. Ito yung kayang i-produce ng input na meron tayo. Ang kayang i-produce ng 1 input is 10 burgers per hour. Ang kayang i-produce ng 2 inputs or 2 laborers, that is 18 burgers per hour. And when we have 3 inputs or 3 workers, they can produce 24 burgers per hour. So yun po yung total product. Yun yung TP. The total product that we can have in a specific given input. In this case, yung input natin is labor. Next, we will then talk about the marginal product. Again, simply put, marginal product ito po yung change na nangyari when there is a change in the input that we have. For example, here in this example, the change of input is we change from 1 laborer to 2 laborers. Ngayon, gaano kalaki o ano ngayon yung naging difference dun sa total product na meron tayo? Ano yung naging difference when we change our input? And ano yung relationship ngayon nung dalawa from input and the total product? Yun yung marginal product natin. So, in order for us to determine the marginal product, we just have to subtract the total product for the change in the total product. In this case, for example, we change two laborers na tayo. They can produce 18 burgers. So, from 10 burgers, naging 18 burgers, the difference or the change is 8. So, ito po yung marginal product natin. It means that when we change the input into, or we change the laborers, we increase the laborers by 2, ngayon, nagkaroon ng increase sa total product natin by 8 burgers per hour na. Same with, again, if we will change the input or the amount of laborers into 3, they can produce 24 burgers per hour. Just find the difference of 24 and 18, and that is 6. It means to say that if we will have or we will change our laborers into 3 workers, we will then have a marginal product or an increase from 8 to 6. So, sir, bakit ganun? Bakit parang kakaiba? Dito sa una nating laborer, isa lang siya pero kaya niya mag-produce ng 10. Tapos ngayon, dito sa dalawang laborers, hindi ba dapat 20? Hindi ba dapat 20? Kasi parang lumalabas na 1 laborer equals 10 burgers. So, bakit lumabas na 2 laborers, 18 burgers? Ano nangyari? Well, class, it's only feasible or it's only safe to assume na syempre doon sa work area nila, there will be very limited space, limited equipments. Kumbaga, yung isang burger, sa isang lutuan, sa isang griddle, ang kaya lang na taong mag-function doon is isa or dalawa. Yung isa nag-restroom break, yung isa nag-lunch break, and so on and so forth. So, magkakaroon talaga ng iba. Hindi yan laging equals into 1. So, yun po, yung change na yun, ang tawag natin doon is the diminishing marginal unit, which is in this case diminishing marginal product. So nagde-decrease siya na nagde-decrease. Same with 3 laborers. Of course, syempre mas masikip na yung work area natin, mas marami na magtatrabaho, so ibig sabihin yung mga equipments natin very limited lang din for 3 workers, kaya hindi palagi pare-parehas yung change natin. So yun guys, just take note of that. Now, we will now talk about the average product. And when we talk about average product, we are talking about kung ilan ang average na produkto ang kayang i-produce ng isang unit ng input na meron tayo. In this case, our input is the laborers, diba? So, in order for us to determine the average product, we just have to use this formula, which is the total product divided by the unit that we have or the input that we have, which is in this case labor. So dun sa unang row natin, we have here total product of 10 divided by 1, that is 10. So ibig sabihin, ang average product na kayang i-produce ng isang laborer in this function is 10. Now let's talk about 2 laborers. In order for us to determine the average product or the AP, we have to divide TP over the unit or the labor. So 18 ang total product natin divided by 2, and that is 9. So ibig sabihin, the 2 units or the 2 laborers that we have can produce 9 burgers each per hour. So 9 burgers ang kayang i-produce ng isang worker per hour pag dalawa sila nagtatrabaho doon sa area na yon. Now we talk about 3 laborers. They can produce 24 burgers. So TP divided by labor, that is 24 divided by 3. Makakapag-produce sila therefore ng 8 burgers per hour. So ibig sabihin, 8 burgers ang kayang i-produce ng isang worker doon sa 3 workers na sabay-sabay na nagtatrabaho doon sa area nila. So I hope you guys have understood what I talk about there. Average product, ito po yung kayang i-produce ng isang unit doon sa specific function na meron tayo or sa specific row in this table na meron tayo. So yun. However, in your modules, it was also introduced to me or I have to talk about the cost as well. So ito yung total product cost, total marginal cost and average cost. So medyo mas magkakaroon lang tayo ng mas maraming computation. So let's begin. Okay, so here in this table, magkakaroon tayo ng medyo kakaiba na kasi we are talking about cost na in this table. We want to determine kung ano yung change in the cost or yung ating marginal cost whenever we will increase our inputs or whenever we will change our inputs, and the average cost per unit dun sa per input na magaganap or sa per input na meron tayo in that specific function. So first, let's talk about the given here in this table. We have here the fixed cost, which is of course before we begin pala, we stay true or parehas lang yung ating labor and total product. So ibig sabihin burgers pa rin yung pinag-uusapan natin dito. So we have here a fixed cost of 100. So ibig sabihin, in every function, in every production function that we have over here in this table, fixed cost of 100 ang meron tayo. And then we have here the variable cost or yung change or yung nag-iiba-ibang cost per function or per production function that we have. We have here the total cost, which para makuha natin yung TC or yung total cost, kailangan natin i-add lang yung fixed and the variable cost. And then we have here the formula of marginal cost, which is change in TC divided by change in total product, and then average cost or AC is equals to TC divided by TP. So kung same concepts of marginal cost and average cost, same lang din done with marginal output and average output. When we talk about marginal cost, we want to determine the change in the cost na magaganap per total product that we have, per function that we have. And dun sa naman sa AC or yung average cost, we want to determine the average cost per unit doon sa total number of units na meron tayo. So parang it's fairly simple enough, pero it can be a little bit complicated. So isa-isahin ulit natin to. So dun sa example natin, dun sa unang example, we have here one laborer which can produce 10 burgers per hour. So ibig sabihin, doon sa 10 burgers na yon, we have here a fixed cost of 100 and a variable cost of 105. And in order for us to determine the total cost, we just have to add 100 and 105, or the fixed cost and the variable cost. In this case, pag in-add natin 100 and 105, 100 plus 105, oops, that's 105, that is 205 here in this example. So in order for us to have or to determine the marginal cost, we have to determine first the change in total cost and the change in total product. So para makita natin yung change na magaganap, we just have, same lang din doon sa previous table natin, we just have to subtract the current TC that we have doon sa previous TC bago siya, which is in this case 100 yung total cost bago mag 205. So ang mangyayari dyan, we have here to 205 minus 100. So we have here, the first is 105. Ito yung change in TC na meron tayo. And then we have to determine again the change naman in total product. So that's from 0 naging 10. So ibig sabihin the difference is 10. So all that's left to do is to divide 105 from 10. So in this case, that is 10.5, which is here, makikita nyo, ang marginal cost natin is 10.5. Ibig sabihin, 10.5 po yung cost, o 10.5 po yung change in cost na naganap doon when we increased our number of laborers into 1. And then, ang average cost naman natin is the TC divided by TP, so that's 205 divided by 10, and then we have here 20.5, which is here. So ibig sabihin 20.5 po yung average cost natin per unit dito sa 10 product na meron tayo. Then we will proceed with the change in inputs. We increased our laborer into 1, so 2 laborers na tayo. So sa 2 laborers, they can produce 18 burgers per hour with fixed cost of 100 and variable cost of 180 with a total cost of 280. So ibig sabihin, with 2 laborers, they can produce 18 burgers with 280 of cost. Ngayon, para malaman natin kung ano yung change na naganap doon sa cost from 1 laborer into 2 laborers, we have to solve for the marginal cost or the MC. So, ang mangyayari dito, we have to find the difference of 280 minus 205. Kasi ito po yung change na naganap between the two. And that is 75. And then, we will now look for the change naman sa total product. So, that is 18 minus 10. Kasi ito po yung change na naganap. And that is 8. So ibig sabihin, we have to divide 75 by 8. And then we will have here 9.375 or 9.38 here in this table. Sorry about that. Here, 9.38 in this table. So ibig sabihin po, if we will increase our laborers into 2, they can produce 18 burgers per hour. Tapos yung cost na nangyayari or yung change in cost na naganap is 9.38. Dito, 10.5 talaga yung pinaka-cost niya. Nangyari, nagkaroon ng change, bumaba into 9.38. Ito yung difference dun sa cost when we have 1 laborer versus 2 laborers. And then, for the average cost naman, that is 280, the TC, divided by TP, which is 18. Then we have here 15.55555, which is rounded up, that is 15.56. So yung 15.56 po, ito yung average cost per unit natong 18 products na meron tayo when we have 2 laborers. And then when we have 3 laborers naman, they can produce 24 burgers with a total cost of 350. So ano po yung change in the cost na naganap? Ang mangyayari, same with the other functions, we have to subtract first 350 from its previous total cost, which is 280. We found here that's 70. And then kailangan natin hanapin yung difference ng total product, which is here for 3 workers, kaya nila mag-produce ng 24 units. And the change that happened from 18, that is 6. So 6 ang naganap na change in total product. So we have to divide 70, which is yung change, divided by 6. Tama ba? Yes. And that is 11.66666, which is when rounded up, that is 11.67. So ito po yung marginal cost or yung change dun sa cost na naganap when we increased our labor into 3 and when we have this kind of total cost. And then ang average cost naman natin per unit is, that is, ang total cost is 350 divided by 24, which is yung total product natin for the 3 laborers, and that is 14.58. which is in this case, yun nga, 14.58. Ibig sabihin, ito po yung average cost na meron tayo dito sa 24, average cost per unit dito sa 24 units na meron tayo, or 24 products na meron tayo when we have 3 workers working together. So ito po yung ito yung parang way natin to determine the cost of production sa isang specific na establishment. And what is the purpose of this? Bakit natin hinahanap yung production cost? Bakit natin hinahanap yung production formula, yung marginal cost, average cost? Siyempre, in order for us to optimize our business, we have to determine kung ano nga ba yung mga variables na to. Anong mangyayari pag binago natin yung number of workers natin? Anong mangyayari sa total products natin? Anong mangyayari sa total cost natin? Paano pag ginawa natin, iniba naman natin yung ating capital, or iniba naman natin yung ating number of resources? Gaano karami ngayon ang ating total product? Gaano karami ngayon ang ating total cost? Ano yung average cost natin? Ano yung marginal product natin, marginal cost natin? Ano yung change? Ano yung relationship ng mga inputs natin? Ano yung ano yung relationship ng labor with time? Ano yung relationship ng labor with the resources, and so on and so forth? Paano maapektuhan yung number of products nyo or number of outputs nyo, and paano maapektuhan ang cost nyo when you will change your inputs? Ganun lang po siya. If you will change your inputs, gaano karami or gaano kalaki yung effects na magaganap doon sa production function na meron kayo. And I hope you guys understood kahit paano ang ating lesson. And same with the other lessons that we have. Of course, if you guys have any questions with this, please feel free to send me a message, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys. Kasi I know how this can be very confusing sa part nyo. Kaya ako ay nandito para kayo ay tulungan. Okay? So, wag kayong mahihiya to ask me any questions. Wag din kayong mahihiya kung meron kayong mga concerns. Okay? And I hope na naintindihan nyo ang lesson natin for this video. And yun nga, if you have questions, don't forget, just feel free to ask me whenever, and I will answer whenever I can. So yun lang. That's it for production function. Bye guys, see you next time.